Hello everybody, welcome to the presentation for submission 0163, Identifying Stakeholder Motivations in Normative AI Governance, a systematic literature review for research guidance. My name is Frederic Heymans. I'm a PhD researcher at the imec-SMIT Research Center at VUB University in Brussels. Today I will talk about hidden influences shaping AI governance and methods, theoretical frameworks, and research disciplines to identify this. First, I'll give you a little bit of context on my PhD research that I'm working on. I'm a communications studies scholar, and the past years I worked and I'm still working as a policy analyst on AI and data policy, also at the VUB University in Brussels. Last year I started a PhD which looks into the operationalization and the implementation of EU-level normative innovation policy frameworks. I look at how frameworks for AI ethics and digitalization are interpreted and operationalized at different levels of governance, more specific the regional and local level in Belgium. I also look at the effectiveness of policy implementation among private companies and the role of stakeholders in this process. In recent years, we have seen a surge in policy initiatives in the AI landscape. However, the effectiveness of those frameworks is hampered by a number of obstacles. The policy documents are often very abstract or inconsistent, they lack clarity, and are disconnected from the real world. This makes them difficult to operationalize. Ethics washing, superficially adopting ethical principles, or creating guidelines without commitment is also a problem. And examples of this include self-regulation without accountability or symbolic gestures. So several researchers also claim political motives in AI governance policy documents. A typical example of such a claim is powerful industry players that seek to influence policy to better align it with their interests. However, these claims lack a robust research methodology to substantiate this. So there's a need for theoretical frameworks and methodologies to do this. The research questions of this article are: how can we identify social constructivist factors in shaping AI governance documents? And what research has been conducted to explore and scrutinize stakeholder motivations? First, I'll tell a little bit about the complexity of AI governance. The article that I wrote first focuses on the complexity of AI governance. Traditional policy methods face a number of challenges within the AI context, such as rapid evolution of AI technology, as we can see with ChatGPT, for example, which traditional policy processes struggle to keep up with, and the complexity of AI systems, which make it difficult to regulate. This has led to the policy field being dominated by soft law or self-regulation. The nature of this type of regulation has advantages for policymakers, but are obviously also beneficial for industry. However, self-regulation has a lot of constraints, which I mentioned earlier in this presentation. What plays an important role in AI governance policies are stakeholder motivations. By this is meant interests, strategies, intentions, or agendas. Those stakeholder motivations, they can influence the trajectory of an AI governance policy document. For instance, there may be pressure to limit or dilute regulation or lobbying to keep as much control as possible. Studying stakeholder motivations in AI governance is crucial because both declared interest and the concept of hidden agendas have been understudied. Furthermore, understanding these motivations is vital to mitigate risks such as ethics washing, ethics bashing, and ethics shopping, where ethical principles may be superficially adopted, undermined, or selectively embraced to serve particular interests rather than the broader public good. Other advantages include the possibility of revealing power imbalances and the potential biases or the improvement of stakeholder engagement strategies. Lastly, our understanding of these motivations are important for the creation of effective governance frameworks. For the theoretical underpinnings of this article, we adopt social constructivism and the social construction of technology. First, social constructivism. This posits that our understanding of reality, including concepts like ethical AI, is not objectively given, but constructed through social interactions and shared meanings. This perspective highlights how knowledge is context dependent, power dynamics influence what becomes accepted as truth, and language, for example, itself shapes our comprehension of issues. When we apply this to AI governance, social constructivism encourages us to look beyond the surface of policy documents to examine the social processes behind their creation. It prompts us to question whose voices are privileged, how certain governance models gain traction, and why particular ethical frameworks resonate at different times. This lens reveals AI governance not merely as a technical challenge, but as an ongoing social process of negotiating values and power. By embracing this view, we can work towards more inclusive, dynamic, and contextually sensitive approaches that acknowledge the fluid, socially constructed nature of our ethical guidelines and governance structures. The second theoretical underpinning on this article is social construction of technology. The social construction of technology, or SCOT, emphasizes that technological development is not a linear deterministic process, but one shaped by social factors and the interest of various groups. This framework posits that technologies have interpretive flexibility, meaning different social groups or stakeholders can understand and use the same technology in diverse ways. If you apply this to AI governance, Scott encourages us to examine how various social groups, like for example tech companies or policymakers, civil society, and different user communities, may have conflicting interpretations of AI's risks and benefits, which in turn influence governance priorities. It draws attention to the process of closure, where particular understandings of AI become dominant and got embedded in governance frameworks, potentially marginalizing alternative perspectives. Scott also illuminates how the design and the deployment of AI systems can reinforce existing power structures or reshape social relations. Therefore, there's a need for transparency in problem prioritization and method selection in AI governance processes. So for this article, we used the scoping study methodology. This involves a systematic process of gathering, analyzing, and synthesizing a wide range of literature sources and uses a 5-step framework. In total, 27 articles were studied. The presentation of the research results, I start with the research disciplines. These disciplines just contain a lot of tools for exploring stakeholder motivations in AI governance policies. The first discipline is moral philosophy. Here we find tools to examine motivation at a meta level, situating technological governance debates within broader ethical contexts. Then we move to political science and social movement studies with dynamic representation. This dynamic representation allows us to track evolving stakeholder interests and their impact on policy agendas over time, such as, for example, how protests influence legislative priorities. Third discipline is critical policy studies, which offers us a rich toolkit for dissecting stakeholder dynamics, focusing on communicative practices that bridge state and society. Here we explore how language and argumentation shape policy, revealing strategies of political exclusion or assessing legitimacy through stakeholder-oriented lenses. And finally, anthropology, particularly through a real-time ethnography, illuminates the cultural dimensions of stakeholder motivations, capturing the messy realities of innovation processes and the contextual interpretations that guide actor choices. Next are the theoretical frameworks. As a first, I found stakeholder theory very interesting. The theory, which originates from business ethics, provides a robust framework for identifying and managing the diverse interests surrounding technology deployment. It has evolved to consider complex interactions and hierarchies among stakeholders, with recent interesting work by Miller, adding nuance by recognizing passive stakeholders in an AI context, those affected but lacking influence. Then we have the work of Alan McConnell. McConnell's contributions offer two critical lenses: the hidden policy agendas framework, which systematically unpacks the who, the what, and how of concealment in policymaking, and the concept of placebo policies, which reveals when stakeholders advocate for surface-level solutions to evade deeper, riskier engagement with issues. The Success for Whom framework extends this analysis by evaluating policy outcomes through the eyes of different stakeholders, allowing researchers to infer intentions from the distribution of benefits and drawbacks. This approach recognizes that the policy's impact and the motivations behind it, that they may vary dramatically across government officials, industry players, or public groups. Complementing these frameworks is the work of Bellon and Koch's notion of coalition magnets, which elucidates how certain ideas, often deliberately ambiguous or emotionally charged, serve as powerful instruments for policy entrepreneurs. These magnets can realign interests, awaken latent preferences, and ultimately reshape the policy landscape, offering a window into strategic cultivation of support and the nuanced art of problem definition in governance. The final and most comprehensive part of this trilogy are the analytical methods. The first method we discuss here is content analysis, which offers a systematic and adaptable approach to uncover stakeholder motivations through quantitative and qualitative analysis of various data sources. For example, Hopman employed qualitative content analysis on policy reports and interviews to identify underlying values shaping Dutch youth policy strategies. Second methodology is discourse analysis. With its emphasis on language, framing, and power dynamics, it provides a nuanced lens into stakeholder communication and influence, which is exemplified by interesting work by Lingard and Triantafilus' work of categorization of discursive agency in policy making. Then Bachi's What's the Problem Represented to Be method, which was, for example, applied in scrutinizing automated decision support systems in Sweden, offers a systematic approach to deconstruct policy discourse and examine inherent presuppositions. Complementing this work is the discourse network analysis, which can unveil intrinsic processes and dynamics in stakeholder exchanges. Social semiotics is combining techniques like the corpus linguistic sampling methods with theoretical frameworks. This method enables researchers to discern values and ideologies embedded in stakeholder discourse, which was, for example, done in blockchain white papers recently. There's also quantitative text analysis methods, such as Kluver's use of the wordfish scaling tool, which proves valuable in measuring policy positions and influence of interest groups. It's also very interesting in this context. Interviews, as exemplified by Hansen in ICT4D projects, provides direct insights into stakeholder agendas and interests. There's also, of course, the mix of methodologies, or the combining of methodologies, which was done by Tanner and Breiden in their study of AI public discourse, and the work of Sipelowska in education reform analysis, which can yield comprehensive understandings of stakeholder dynamics. Ethnography, with its immersive and holistic approach, offers a powerful avenue for examining stakeholder motivations within policy processes. By embedding researchers in the social settings, ethnography unveils tacit knowledge, implicit norms as well, and nuanced dynamics shaping stakeholder behaviors and decisions. Subcategories like real-time ethnography, as advocated by Hoholm, enhanced theorizing by capturing uncertainties, contingencies, and contextualized interpretations guiding stakeholder actions. Within the field of ethnography, there's also critical ethnography, which was applied, for example, by Myers and Young, This goes a step further by explicitly scrutinizing hidden agendas, power structures, and constraining assumptions. Within the policy field, approaches like policy ethnography or political ethnography hold a lot of promise for investigating the complex interplay of stakeholder motivations, values, and control practices underlying policy formulation and implementation. As conclusions of the article, first I'll give an overview of key findings and implications. Thus, this study reveals a significant research gap. The scarcity of studies focusing on the concealed motivations, agendas, and influences that shape AI governance. However, promising approaches emerge. Critical policy studies offer a lens to examine power dynamics, language, and communicative practices within policy processes, which could give a look at hidden agendas. Theoretical frameworks like McConnell's work on hidden policy agendas and placebo policies provide analytical tools that are very interesting. We also saw that integrating diverse methodologies through a mixed methods approach yields comprehensive insights into stakeholder dynamics. And of course, ethnography, with its immersive nature, it holds potential to gain unique perspectives and challenge existing views on stakeholder motivations. Concerning the implications of this article, insights into stakeholder motivations can refine AI ethics guidelines and policy documents, which can ensure that they address real-world complexities and balance conflicting values. As well, improving stakeholder inclusion and the mechanisms to uncover hidden agendas can enhance the legitimacy and effectiveness of AI governance. And lastly, this study also lays a foundation for further research on the social constructivist factors influencing the shaping of AI policy. As future directions, if we look ahead, there's a significant potential in cross-fertilizing research methods, such as combining real-time ethnography with policy ethnography. This novel approach could enable researchers to examine stakeholder motivations in real time across various stages of the policy process, transcending the traditional focus on implementation. The study's findings also contribute indirectly to the epistemological discourse on the existence and nature of hidden stakeholder motivations, which can lead to deeper philosophical inquiry. And ultimately, this research serves as a call to action. It stimulates continued critical research and fosters debates on the role of stakeholder motivations in AI governance. And scholars and practitioners must critically evaluate the existing knowledge within the complex innovation policy context. And furthermore, actively exploring applicable frameworks and methods can help unmask the true intentions driving policy decisions, fostering more transparency, accountability in AI deployments. Thank you for watching this presentation.